What if your freedom was an illusion? What if the very things that make you feel liberated, your desires, your pleasures, your endless choices, are actually the chains that keep you trapped? Aldous Huxley, the visionary author of Brave New World, warned humanity almost a century ago. He said that one day, people would not be enslaved by force, but by pleasure. They wouldn't rebel, because they'd be too entertained, too comfortable, too distracted to even notice their chains. Today, that prophecy has come true. You scroll, you binge, you consume, and all the while, you believe you're choosing freely. But are you? This is the pleasure trap, the modern prison of the mind. And in this video, we'll expose how you've been programmed to crave your own cage and how the Stoic mindset can break you free. Stay until the end, because once you see the illusion, you'll never live the same way again. 1. Huxley's vision, the sweet slavery. In Brave New World, written in 1932, Huxley didn't imagine a world ruled by whips or chains. He imagined one ruled by comfort, a society where people were kept docile through endless pleasure, sex, entertainment, and drugs. They didn't need Big Brother watching them, like Orwell's 1984. They didn't rebel because they had no reason to. They were too satisfied to care. And that's the genius and the horror of Huxley's vision. He understood that pleasure is the most effective form of control because it doesn't feel like control. You think you're free because you can do what you want. But what if what you want was planted in you by someone else? 2. The modern world. Huxley's nightmare realized. Fast forward to today. The soma of Huxley's world isn't a drug, it's your phone. It's social media, fast food, pornography, entertainment, and endless comfort. You're told, do what feels good, follow your impulses, live your truth. But the result? A generation addicted to instant gratification, paralyzed by comfort, and terrified of discomfort. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live." And yet, most people today don't live. They just drift between pleasures. They wake up tired, scroll through noise, chase dopamine hits, and call it freedom. But freedom without discipline is just chaos dressed up as choice. 3. The science of the pleasure trap. Let's break it down scientifically. Every pleasure you chase, likes, notifications, sugar, porn, validation, spikes, dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical of anticipation, not fulfillment. It doesn't make you happy, it makes you want more. The brain learns that stimulation equals survival, so it starts craving more of it. You're not choosing pleasure, it's choosing you. The system has hacked your biology. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." You may think you're free because you can open any app, eat any food, watch any video, but if you can't stop, then you're not free. You're a slave dressed in the clothes of choice. 4. The Stoic response, mastering the self. The Stoics faced the same temptations in different forms: wealth, fame, luxury, excess. Their solution was brutal simplicity. Discipline is freedom. Seneca practiced voluntary discomfort. He slept on the floor, ate simple food, and reminded himself how little he truly needed. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire but trained his mind to remain untouched by luxury. Epictetus was a slave, but his mind was freer than most kings. Their wisdom cuts deeper today than ever. To escape the pleasure trap, you must redefine pleasure itself. Pleasure is not in consumption, it's in control. Not in indulgence, but in mastery. 5. The mechanism of addiction, pleasure versus meaning. Huxley's warning wasn't just political, it was spiritual. He saw that when pleasure replaces purpose, society collapses into apathy. When people stop seeking meaning, they become easy to rule. In his own words, Huxley said, "People will come to love their oppression, to adore the technologies that undo their capacities to think." And he was right. Today, algorithms know your desires better than you do. They don't need to chain your body, they just need to capture your attention. Pleasure is the perfect prison because it makes you comfortable inside your cage. And the more comfortable you are, the less likely you are to leave. The Stoics believed meaning is found through virtue, living in alignment with nature, reason, and purpose. Pleasure fades, purpose endures. That's why pleasure addicts never feel full. They keep consuming, hoping to fill an emptiness that only purpose can satisfy. 6. Escaping the pleasure trap. Stoic methods that work. Here's how you begin to escape the modern slavery of comfort. 1. Practice voluntary discomfort. Do what's hard on purpose. Take cold showers, skip indulgences, train discipline like a muscle. Seneca said, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest fare and roughest clothing, saying to yourself, 'Is this the condition I feared?'" 2. Reclaim your attention. Your attention is your freedom. Every scroll, every notification, every ad is a leash. Delete apps that waste your time. Schedule solitude. Read deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. When you guard your focus, you guard your soul." 3. Redefine pleasure as power. Pleasure should serve you, not own you. Enjoy it with awareness. Never chase it blindly. Eat for strength, not escape. Rest for recovery, not laziness. 4. Build the inner citadel. The Stoic citadel is the mind that cannot be shaken. Through meditation, journaling, and reflection, build a fortress within. That's where true freedom lives. 7. The paradox of freedom. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want, it's having the power to not do what you crave. The modern world says, "Follow your desires." The Stoic says, "Question your desires." Real freedom begins when you can say no to others, to temptation, to yourself. As Huxley warned, the real hopeless victims of mental slavery are those who love their servitude. Don't be one of them. Stop mistaking comfort for happiness. Stop calling weakness freedom. Your chains are invisible, but they're there. And every act of discipline breaks one link. 8. A Stoic reflection. The return to stillness. Imagine this. You wake up, and the first thing you do is nothing. You don't check your phone. You don't seek stimulation. You sit in silence. You breathe. You think. That is power. That silence is where your mind detoxes from the noise of the world. That's where the real you begins to speak again. Aldous Huxley feared that man would drown in distraction, but the Stoic learns to swim through it, calm, centered, detached. You become untouchable when your peace no longer depends on pleasure. 9. The new definition of power. True power in this age isn't wealth or fame. It's not how much pleasure you can buy, it's how little you need to feel complete. When you no longer chase pleasure, you become immune to manipulation. When you can sit alone in silence, you become dangerous because no one can control a man who doesn't need anything. That's what Stoicism and Huxley both point to. The revolution isn't outside, it's inside. The war isn't against society, it's against your own weakness. And when you win that war, you become what the Stoics called autarkes, self-sufficient, whole, free. 10. Closing. The Stoic rebellion. In a world that worships pleasure, self-control is rebellion. When everyone's chasing comfort, discipline is your advantage. When everyone's lost in distraction, clarity becomes your weapon. Aldous Huxley's warning wasn't meant to scare you, it was meant to wake you up. The greatest act of freedom is not indulging in everything you want, but mastering yourself enough to walk away from what weakens you. So, take this as your wake-up call. Stop feeding the machine that feeds on your weakness. Reclaim your attention, reclaim your mind, reclaim your soul. This is Stoic Power Codes, where ancient philosophy becomes modern power. Like, subscribe, and remember, pleasure is not freedom. Discipline is.